What's up, guys? Floetic here, back again with another quarantine-style Dice Lemons with a very special guest from Calgary. You want to introduce yourself?
What up? My name is DJ C-SIK, Rick Cruz actually, but DJ C-SIK, that's my stage name.
So, Rick Cruz is such a sly, like, cool name.
Yeah,
like
thank
a
you.
movie star, bro.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Let's talk about your DJ name. How did you get C-SIK as your DJ name?
Man, it's a terrible story. There's nothing cool about it.
Tell us.
So when I first started DJing, it was like because of battling.
Yep.
And I didn't have a DJ name. So all the OG homies, like, they would just play around. So the first battle, I actually went as DJ Stinky Ass.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. Because someone was just like, put him on as Stinky Ass. I think it's like, you know, like on a basketball team when the rookie gets like shitted on the whole time?
Yeah, of course.
Kind of that kind of shit. It's like, this kid's trying to come up in the game. We're going to call him DJ Stinky Ass.
Man, how long did that last?
Like one battle, I think.
Okay, that's good. Okay, fair.
But I got through to the finals, so.
Oh, dope. That's
that was
all in Calgary?
Yeah, that was in Calgary. And then the next time, I think I went to Squidget, like the name that Fresh Prince used to call Carlton.
Yeah.
The Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Then that didn't stick. And then one day I was just scrambling for it, man. And I was thinking of like Cruise, the C. Like everyone was saying sick at the time. That was the word. And then just play on C-SIK. And I wrote that. And I remember I gave it to like the promoter and he looks down and he's like, looks at me like, C-SIK, really? And I was like, man, that's a shitty name.
It's a pretty dope name. Like,
you know what? Over the years, it just like started to become natural. And like, there's many people out there that don't know my real name and they just call me C-SIK. So I think when I first came up with it, I was kind of embarrassed about it. I think a lot of DJs are a little bit cringeworthy of their like.
Yeah, I mean, it's like our alter ego. You know what I mean? Like, you still want to protect yourself.
yeah, no doubt, man.
Like,
but I don't know. It's come to like sound natural to me over the years, so I don't mind it anymore.
It's funny you say that. Not many people, I guess, know your real name, because actually I was talking to a homie online house party. You know the house party app that everyone's crazy over. Anyway, so I was talking to my friend, and then his friend jumped on, and they're like, "Oh, it's Flo," and the dude's like, "Yo, what's your real name?" And I'm like, "That's a good question. Like, everybody just calls me Flo." You know what I mean? Like, even my mom calls me Flo now.
Are you for real?
I swear.
That's crazy.
So it's just kind of funny, like the alter ego thing is like your government, and then what your name is in the streets. You know what I mean?
For real, man. Yeah, and as DJs, we just kind of get known as our DJ name,
and that's
for the rest of our DJ life.
That's dope. Let's talk about. I mean, you said you came up in the battle scene. Were you born and raised in Calgary?
No, I was actually born in Brampton, Ontario. So I lived there. I lived in Saga for a little bit, but I was kind of too young to remember. Then came out to Calgary in like 1998.
So let's talk like the DJ scene in Calgary, because I lived there for, I think, almost 3 years.
Yeah, you did, man.
I mean, the scene is definitely different than Vancouver. So let's talk about like the growth and what you've seen change, even in the last, say, 5 years. One thing that I noticed moving to Calgary is that I feel that the turnover with a lot of venues is super quick. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but if like a fight or something happens, it's like, change the name and let's rebrand. Meanwhile, here it's kind of like, that doesn't really happen as much. So I don't know if you want to speak to anything about that, or just, differences you felt in Calgary.
No, for sure, man. I mean, as far as like the DJs themselves, I feel like they've evolved over the years. We've been blessed in this city. Like, our OGs are amazing DJs. We got like the small town DJs in that world. Then we got DJ Pump in the hip hop world. We got DJ Rice, who's had, I think, like one of the longest house residencies, not just in like the city, but I think in North America, if not the world. I think he's been playing that for 20 plus more years now. So the DJs have been getting better and better every year, like, because every generation is trying to do what the generation before them did. But yeah, man, I don't know. There's something up with the city and venues where we just can't keep things alive. I don't think, to be honest, I feel like the city doesn't embrace arts and nightlife and culture as much as other cities would. And there's like definitely this mindset to like get out of downtown, for whatever reason. And it's like the suburbs are their own little like community and almost like their own little town in themselves.
Yeah.
So everybody, like once 5 o'clock hits or 3 o'clock hits, everyone just goes to their suburban place and you shop there, you go out there, you eat dinner there, you everything, and everyone just leaves downtown. Like it's funny, there's all these pictures being shown of downtown during like this whole lockdown time, and it does look dead, but it doesn't look as different as what it would usually look like in the evening in Calgary, you know?
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed. Like, I'm happy you said that, because I lived in the southeast when I lived in Calgary, and yeah, like when I first got there, it was kind of, I don't want to say culture shock, but for lack of a better term, it was culture shock for me, because for me it's like Friday night, Thursday night, you go downtown, there's something popping and people are just out. Meanwhile, Calgary, I think it's more like work oriented, or like you said, everyone's just kind of in their own little nook that they don't really congregate downtown as much.
No, they don't, man. And I think the city has designed itself that way for whatever reason. Like the communities have everything you need when you go out there. And there's also this like mindset here. Like back in Toronto, I noticed that like the older generations would still be going out and going to listen to music, because I don't know, promoters there will still bring out like SWV or something, and they can all go to that kind of show, or starting from scratch is still doing his thing. And, you know, playing for an older generation. Here, it's almost like once you get to a certain age, there's this mindset where we have to grow up now. We have to stay in the suburbs and raise families, and going out is a young person's game. So I think that's totally affected the venues and everything. Like, I don't know, man, we just don't have that club culture. We used to have it back in like the early 2000s. It was really popping here. We had a couple of hip hop radio shows that actually kind of warred together, and there was not enough room in the city for two at the same time.
Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah,
and it ultimately killed both of them off, and there was just this huge decline from there. And we all talk about it all the time. Everyone's always trying to make a change and make a difference and get it back to what it used to be. But I don't know, it's hard when like the powers that be are just kind of fighting us all the time, you know?
Yeah, is there like, so obviously, I mean, there's, in any city, there's groups or cliques of people, friends, DJs, whatever you want to call it. Is that prevalent in Calgary as well? Like, does this clique play here and take care of their people, and this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I don't think we have like huge crews in that sense. There used to be, again, there used to be like sound crews here. And there was actually two like really big ones that kind of warred a little bit too, and the same thing kind of happened. There just wasn't room for both of them. These days it's kind of like one DJ and then all their friends, and then there's like a Venn diagram of us that keeps like you know like overlapping each other. But nah, I don't think cliques. Maybe like in the genres for sure.
Yeah,
like you know, the Hi-Fi Club has its kind of family, and that kind of expands to like the rave culture and all that kind of stuff. And then there's definitely the club hip hop scene still, and then like the backpacker club backpacker hip hop scene kind of still. But yeah, not like crews and cliques, just kind of like genre specific, which is weird to say in 2020, because you think everything would be more of a melting pot nowadays, but there's definitely still that designation between different genres.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, let's talk about like how you started DJing. Like, what was the first thing where you're like, I need to learn this craft, and like how has that progressed? Because a lot of, I mean, you were a Canadian Redbull champ a few years back, right? Which is super dope. So let's talk about like, how do you go from buying your first turntable to freaking winning the Canadian championships?
Word up, man. Actually, well, even before the turntable was listening to mixtapes. That was the biggest thing. So there's these guys called the Two Swift household. That's Junior and E Swift, J Swift and E Swift. They were like affiliated with the Turnstiles crew out in Toronto. I don't know if you've heard of those guys, but that's D-Scratch, Little Jazz, and Grouch. They used to put out these mixtapes called the Two Swift Household Presents Whatever, and I would hear scratching on it, and that was the part that always made me like, yo, what is that? So I started trying to make like mixtapes myself with like 2 tape deck things. And what I would do is I would record just the scratch sections of all those mixtapes and just scratch sections of other stuff. So like Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince live at the Fillmore or something like that? Can't remember what it was, but when he's doing that Transformer scratch with Dance to Drummer's Beat. And yeah, just fell in love with cuts, man, and trying to figure out like what are they doing. And then my brother brought home Exercise Volume 1, which was the X-Men's first, they're the Executioners now, but the X-Men's first tape that they put out. And I was watching Rock Rada and Rob Swift and Mr. Sinister go off. And then that's when I realized, oh, that scratching stuff is done with the turntables and crossfaders.
How old were you at this point?
Like 13, maybe, man.
Oh, you were young. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was a young buck. And I would study the tapes, then rewind and fast forward and play and rewind and just study. So by the time I first touched some turntables, so my brother was like in the hip hop scene and he was just coming up, not coming up, but just getting into like the hip hop scene in Toronto. He had some friends who had turntables and mixers and stuff, and I would go over. This one guy, Brian Greaves, he went as DJ Arrow. I think his first name was like Kinetic Cut at the time or something like that. Like go play on Connecticut.
Yeah.
To go back on DJ names. But I remember it was like a 6 Pro, so that skinny like Vestax mixer.
Yeah.
And a couple 12s, and it was the first time I touched them. And I remember touching them and feeling super comfortable immediately, which is like, I think kind of rare. I think when most people touch turntables and a record spinning, it's like, oh, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah. What's going on?
What's going on? How do I stop this record?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like from watching it so much, I think it was like, you know, I don't know if you watched like martial arts movies when you were a kid, but when I watched all these Bruce Lee movies, like I would go out and I felt like I could kick like him just because I like watched the shit out of those movies, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
So DJing was the same thing, man. When I would touch crossfaders, I was like, I know exactly what to do. So I knew how to transform probably like the first 5 minutes that I was like on turntables.
Oh, that's sick. Okay.
Yeah, so I was just like like right away.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, man, we were like saving up to buy some turntables, and my parents realized we weren't gonna make enough money. So they actually went to Surround Sound, I think is what it's called, or Sounds Around. Some store in the city here, kind of like Visions or Best Buy. And they were selling Technique 1200s for whatever reason. So it was like they sold car audio, TVs, and like Technique 1200s.
Okay. Yeah.
It was so weird.
Super random.
Super random. I'm like, there must be a DJ who works here.
Yeah, for sure.
And ordered them in or some shit.
Yeah.
So I got those turntables, and then I got the Techniques DMC mixer, which is like such a shit mixer, man. Like you scratch on that thing for 10 minutes, you got to open it and clean it like right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first setup. And we couldn't afford the second turntable, so we used to just scratch to a boombox. So we just play a boombox beside the setup and then cut. And then, yeah, man, got into all of that and got into battling. My goal for the first 10 years of my DJ career was just like be the best that I can be at scratching and juggling and just battle people. And I didn't think outside the city yet. My mind wasn't that expansive.
Yep.
So I just wanted to be who was in the city. And like Pump was like rocking at that time. And this Disoriento, he's another big DJ here in the city. And I was like, that's enough. Like if I can, you know, one day get to where they are or beat them in a battle, then that's a big goal. Yeah, man. And then got into like playing in the clubs. I don't know, about 10 years after all that battle stuff, because someone said like, yo, you should start playing in the clubs. I didn't even have a desire to. I just like thought I should probably do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, man, I've won all these like city DMC titles and I've beaten everyone in the local battles. I'm going to kill it in the club. And I remember my first club gig, I go out and I was just shit. Like I had no records, first of all. So I had to borrow my brother's records and the rest of his crew's records. So I had like 5 crates of records, didn't know any of the songs whatsoever, didn't even know how to mix.
Yeah.
Had no clue what like beat matching was or bar structures or anything like that. And I remember getting booed. Like I remember someone just yelling in the crowd, "You suck!"
Oh, brutal. That's when your heart literally just like drops.
Completely drops, man. Yeah. And I remember I started making excuses. Like I was like, something's wrong with my headphones, blah, blah, blah. And then like, I remember saying something like, yo, something's really wrong with my headphones. And my boy Static came on stage and he's like, let me try. And then he gets on, he starts ripping it for just like a half hour. Yeah. Just killing it. But it was good, man. It showed me that like in DJing, there's different disciplines. There's like, so battling is completely different from rocking in the club. You know, rocking in the club is completely different from just playing like an old school house party or some shit. So,
yeah, no doubt.
Then I realized I had to go in the lab and like learn how to do this part of the craft. And so it took me a while to get good at that. A lot of like clearing the dance floor and man, I used to not only clear dance floors, I would clear like just clubs.
Yeah, this is probably the most honest conversation I've had with a DJ.
Oh, for real?
I swear to you, because actually, you and Nick Mike, because a lot of people are like, they talk about where they are now, which is obviously completely different from where we all started. Like, all of us were shit at one point, all of us, right?
Of course, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of younger DJs around me right now. Like, I'm just trying to not guide or groom, but just like if they have questions, I'll be honest with them and tell them, you should do this, you should try this, you should maybe not do this, but at the end of the day, this is your journey, right? And I tell them all, I'm like, you're not going to be good off the bat. Like, you have to learn how to party rock. You got to learn how to read a crowd. You got to learn when to play what. Like, it takes some time, so like, don't get too hard on yourself. And it's good you say that, because it's like, I'm sure those trials that you went through as upcoming club DJ helped you now to be a dope. Because I played with you a few times. To me, you're a sick ass DJ. You're no pun intended.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But you know what I mean. So it's like, it's good to speak on that. And like, what kind of advice would you give the younger generation, or even people that may look up to you that you may not even know look up to you?
Man, well, I actually just asked you this question too, so that's kind of fresh in my mind. I think one of the biggest things that I would say coming up, I used to be really concerned with what the OG DJs thought of me. If I was like cool to them, or if I was playing cool enough stuff to like that they would think is cool. To the point I remember even playing some gigs and some of the OGs being like, "Why are you playing that?" And like, you can't play that kind of shit. And sometimes it comes from a good place where they're like, you don't play that stuff at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
But if it's just straight up like, why are you playing that kind of shit? That shit's whack. Like, if you like it and it's what makes you happy, that's all that you can really hope for. And that's what should drive you, because like, at the end of the day, it's going to be your DJ career. And if you start playing shit because other people tells you that's cool, and you put the stuff that you like aside, 10 years from now, you're going to look back and go, man, I really wish I just kept playing that kind of shit, whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give. And then I guess in styles too is like, a lot of DJs, when I was asking this question to them, they're saying like they wish they expanded to play other stuff. I think that's dope. And I think on the flip side though, being able to create your product and like who you are and defining that. So even if it means you play a lot of styles, then you play a lot of styles. But if you are, a strictly dance hall DJ, then you're strictly dance hall DJ, whatever. But just like kind of define who you are and what your product is, so that when you go play out, people kind of know what to expect, and you can gain more followers and they can start to multiply, instead of like just changing who you are every single gig according to what the gig is. It's like, if somebody wants to go eat Chinese food and they go into the Chinese restaurant and they start eating and it's spaghetti, they're going to be like, I thought I was walking into a Chinese restaurant. It's the same kind of thing that I feel. And I feel like I'm still in that zone right now where I'm trying to like, let my fans know like, this is what I do, because I have been such a chameleon across the board for so many different types of gigs. So that would be my other thing, is just like, define who you are. And it doesn't have to be like choose one genre, but define, are you open format guy, or or do you do underground stuff or whatever? I think it would help you gain more followers and gain like a loyalty a lot better.
Do you feel that being a chameleon may have hurt you at some gigs?
Oh, for sure. I feel that. I think in the beginning, I just wanted to take as many gigs as I can, and I wanted to learn a lot, but there's definitely been times when I've seen people come out because they saw me rock at Rewind or something, and now they're hearing me play like, just like trap or whatever. And they're like, this isn't what I wanted. Or some people who've come to like my hi-fi gigs and they see me play like Baye Funk and Jersey Club and everything. And then they go see me at like the shisha bar and I'm playing like just Drake, like all night, So I think that kind of hurts for sure. There's probably something to say about being able to promote yourself and just let people know like what you're going to play. But yeah, I think it's hindered me in some things for sure.
That's fair. How long did it take you to learn how to play in a club?
Man, I think I would say until I was comfortable, at least like a couple years, man. Like I said, I was clearing dance floors and sometimes clubs. Like Al V used to hire me at Opus, this spot from back in the day. He was part owner of it, and he let me play this one night all by myself. And I remember like losing the floor and like watching people walk straight out the club. And I was like, yo, like clearing the floor is one thing, but just walking straight out the damn club.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's super rough, man.
Yeah, that's rough.
But you know what? Like one of the best things, if you can gain like a thick skin when you take L's like quickly, you're going to start to learn a lot. Like,
oh, for sure.
If you're just killing it every time, you're not going to learn shit, man, because you're just killing it, you know? Just like, you keep sticking with this. But the more you fuck up, the more you're like, okay, can't do that. Or the more you know that you have other things to add to your repertoire, or that you need to add to your repertoire.
Hell yeah. Okay, which leads into my next question of Redbull 3 style, man. I mean, that's kind of one of the pinnacle competitions in the world right now for DJs. How did you mentally prep for that? What made you want to join? What enticed you to take that step?
Man, 3 style's like kind of I don't want to get like super deep with it, but it was kind of an emotional journey for me at the time. First of all, I used to watch it from jump. Like I remember Headspin's routine that he did. I don't know if it was in Vancouver or somewhere in BC. I just remember there was a Vimeo video of it, and I was like, yo, this is the sickest shit. And I would just watch every single year. And then when Drastic was like going to the first world finals and everything, I was just super intrigued by it because it felt like a mixtape for 15 minutes. That's like my bread and butter is like making mixtapes. It's like someone asked me to make a mix. I just love multi-tracking and like putting like 10 tracks on top of each other and cutting the whole time and shit. So I was like, one day I'll enter this. And then in 2013 I did, but I was actually going through a separation. I was married back then. And that carried all the way over into 2014 when I won. And in 2014, it was kind of the roughest year of like, I guess of my life. Like there was a week before it where I didn't have a routine down. So I don't ever recommend this for any 3 style DJ or anyone trying to compete in anything major like this, but I didn't have a routine like a week before it. I was working at Beat Drop teaching these summer camps, and I was at the Calgary Stampede doing 2 shows a day. And I was just spent. And then I was actually packing up my house and moving into my parents' house. So I was going through all that kind of emotional shit.
Damn.
Yeah. So I actually quit. I told the girl I was with at the time that I'm going to call Kenny and tell him I'm not in it. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go down because I've already been in all the promo and everything, but I'm not going to go embarrass myself. And then I just decided to sleep on it. And the next day, man, I don't know what happened, but I just got some inspiration. Like, I guess pressure makes diamonds sometimes. And an idea came, and then that idea led to another idea, and then I just kept going. So I luckily came out with something that I thought was good enough to take out whoever I was going to enter against in the Western finals. And so I won that. And then I'd say like from then until I went to the Commodore in Vancouver to do the nationals, that's when I really like was strict about it though. And that's when I realized like, okay, this is the type of work I need to get into. And so that's when I had a regimen, and it was like wake up, practice, and do like a lot of healthy stuff. Nowadays I meditate and do a lot more. That would have probably helped me back then. But back then I was just trying to eat right, get a good night's sleep, and just be on the turntables a lot. Because there's no way you're going to come up with creative ideas if you're not like putting pen to paper per se.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I was doing. I was just basically like just rocking all the time. And if I had a good idea, I would just put it down. And collaboratively too, I would just ask other DJs, what do you think of this? And getting some songs from them and all that kind of stuff. So that was my process back then.
After that, did that open any doors for you? Like, do you feel like that maybe elevated your career a bit, or?
Oh yeah, it totally did. I think like before that, I was strictly just like a local cat. I do play still like in my city a lot. Still trying to hold it down here. But I think like that gave me, I don't know, when you win something like that, you get a little bit of a pass. Like when you start trying to holler down at venues in cities that you've never been to, you can just say like, I am 3 style Canadian champ. And it's like such a prevalent DJ competition in the world that most people like know what it is. And as soon as they know, oh, you're like a like a national champ from your country, then especially like a place like Canada where we have some badass fucking DJs, they're like, yeah, this guy's probably good. So that was like definitely a turning point for me. I don't think I was ready business wise to capitalize on it though. I think that's one thing that I would have done better. Is just went ham like using that title. But yeah, definitely elevated things for sure and got my name out to more people out in the world.
Do you I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Do you have you don't have to answer.
All right.
Do you have a favorite champ?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay. Like Heads is always going to be a big one for me. I actually saw him live when he won that. And he's one of my favorite DJs of all time.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, and this is really hard to say because if this was the top, then the next one is like just right there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But Jay Espinoza's world qualifying set, I think was hands down the best 3-style set that has ever been done in the history of the whole thing. I think Rafiq's was insane. The one he did on YouTube, technically and everything. But I think just like pure swagger, song selection, and creativity, and just like class and like sans cheese, like sometimes in 3-style there's a lot of cheese for sure.
Oh, there's tons.
And for someone to do something like that with so much swag and just like, I don't know what other word I can give it. That was my favorite routine for sure.
That's dope.
Yeah, man.
All right. Are there any, say, shows or venues or cities that you haven't played yet that you'd like to play in?
Oh man, yeah, of course. There's so many. I'd love to do a boiler room set. That's one of my goals because I'm actually trying to figure out how to come up with like a new persona that I can just do whatever the fuck I want, play like bass music and a lot of underground shit.
Okay.
I think that's one thing is just to do a boiler room where I can just play anything. I don't know if you've seen that 8-track boiler room that he did when he was just doing a ton of routines and stuff. Yeah. Mad confused the whole time. But I want to do a set like that for sure. I think that's one. And then I think like just doing any of the do-overs would be like a big one for sure.
Yeah. Do-over parties look sick.
They look so sick, man. Yeah. It's just like the perfect kind of crowd. I think it was like really, really dope at its height. Where did it start again? Was it LA?
I think it was LA.
Yeah, like the ones in LA where you can watch like Babu and Craze and do those, like I think around 2006, 2007 when they were doing it. I would love like that kind of vibe. That's my shit though, like just playing old school and backyard barbecue type of vibes too.
So what are you up to nowadays? I mean, obviously we're all stuck in the house, but are you still busy with teaching classes online or anything? Like what's going on within your world right now?
Yeah, man. Well, we're all trying to get on the stream stuff for all the cam girls now.
Yeah.
So working on that, man, and just trying to collaborate with other DJs doing that. But definitely like it's crazy. I thought I was diversified, but as soon as all this shit went down and realized that I just got no income coming in, I just started thinking about new ways that I could teach as well. I think that's like next to DJing, that's one of my biggest passions is helping the next generation come up and find their voice in DJing.
Yeah, talk about that. Like out here we have the Table Tutors crew, which I think you met last time you were here. So it's like, are your classes similar to what they're trying to do, or like what's your bread and butter with that?
I think Table Tutors is more hip hop scratching, 3-style type routine type stuff. We kind of we do a little bit of that, but also we'll bring everyone. Like there's a lot of house DJs and techno DJs in the city, a lot of people in the electronic dance community. So yeah, I still, even though I don't play a lot of that stuff, the fundamentals are the same across the board.
Yeah.
So we teach a lot of that. I'm starting to do private lessons on my own and through Beat Drop. But yeah, we do more classroom setting type stuff. So it's not a ton of one-on-one. I created a curriculum like about 8 years ago and just been massaging it ever since to this date.
Yeah,
more classroom type stuff, but it's just like DJ fundamentals. And then some of the private lessons, they can get advanced. I do have advanced classes too, where I talk about like more DJ like philosophy type stuff, like how to run dance floors, how to know when you're when you're losing people because they're running out of the club and shit. How to get gigs and how to pace your sets and program them and all that kind of stuff.
Why don't you tell people how to find that, like how to get in touch with you, or like website or anything?
Yeah, just hit up if you want to check the class. Like, we're not running the actual DJ classes right now because of everything that's going down. But if you go to beatdrop.ca, so that's beatdrop.ca, DROP. Yeah, man, all the information's there. But if you want to hit me up for some private lessons, just hit me up on my social media at DJ C-SIK on Instagram and across the board everywhere else.
That's what's up. Okay, one last question before we jump into our 3 for 3 here.
Word up.
So you kind of asked me this yesterday, which is funny. Like, I feel like we had a pre-discussion even though we didn't.
Yeah. Word.
Like, outside of DJing, what do you do to kind of calm yourself down? You touched on it before. You said you meditate. Is there anything else you do or that you would recommend for people? I know everyone has their different regimen, but like, what do you specifically do just to kind of woosa?
Just like in life in general?
Yeah, just in life. Like, not even with music, just in general.
Yeah, well, I keep like a pretty strict morning routine. That's like the first thing I do. So when I wake up, I start with MSM, which is like a sulfur powder. And then I go straight to meditating. Actually, before that, I'll stretch and do like a little bit of yoga.
Nice.
And then I meditate for at least like 20 minutes. And that's kind of evolved. I used to use Headspace to get into meditating, which is an app. It was a guided meditation. And then I've been doing it for like 2.5 years now. And I used to be really high strung and have tons of anxiety. And that really helped me. I still have anxiety, but it helps me control it and understand when it's coming on and what to do. So yeah, I'll meditate for about like 20 minutes, and then I'll take a bunch of vitamins, take some lemon water. And this is all before I start my day. And then I have a journaling thing, actually. So it's called what is it called again? It's called the 5-minute journal, actually. And it's like a gratitude journal. So you start by writing 3 things that you are grateful for. And then you write 3 things that would make the day amazing. But what you have to do is you need to make sure that you write down things that you can control. So you can't be like, I'm going to win the lottery today. Yeah. And it could be small things. Like when I first started, it was just like eat a good lunch, talk to a homie, wind down by watching The Last Dance tonight or something like that. And the cool thing about doing that is it actually activates what's called your reticular activation system, which is like, it's the same system that if you buy like a Honda Accord, you're going to start seeing Honda Accords everywhere. So if you write down these things that'll make the day amazing, you're almost subconsciously looking to make your day amazing that way. And then at the end of the day, I will journal again, and I'll write down 3 things that was amazing in the day. And then 1 thing that I would change. So just like 1 thing I would improve. Yeah, man. So, and I do that every single day. I feel like routine, as much as I like spontaneity and being able to fly and be creative and everything, a little bit of routine is really good for structure and to keep you sane,
And if you find that that's helped you out quite a bit in life?
Oh, tons, man. Like I just use, no matter what it was, the smallest thing would just drive me nuts. Like if I started my day and I dropped the milk in the kitchen, like I'm just like going
yeah.
Or if my cat like just jumps on the turntables, I don't know. I was really like a ticking time bomb for a little bit. And I think it was just a lot of the stuff I've gone through in life personally that just dug deep down inside. I worked through a lot of that stuff though. And yeah, just like self-care, man, is so important. And I feel like as artists, we are always thinking of, drive and killing it and like, getting our careers like as big and bad as possible. But we will always, for whatever reason, sacrifice our mental health to get to those points. And the thing is like, every day I feel like you have a tank of energy. And if you just keep draining that tank down to the bottom and not replenishing it with some kind of self-care, taking care of yourself physically, taking care of your health physically as well, then you're just going to burn out and you're not going to have enough for the next day, so you need to do something, whether it's, I don't know what it is. But just having some kind of regimen to to take care of yourself and give yourself a full tank again for the next day.
That's dope. That's amazing. That's good insight, man. Because like I said, we're kind of in the OG phase of our careers, I guess. Like we're not young, we're not 19 anymore. You know what I mean?
Not anymore, man.
To hear stuff like this coming from a guy like you. I think it's really insightful for even myself. Like I have a schedule, but it's not the same as yours. Like for me, I try to go for a bike ride or something at least 3 times a week, or I'm playing ball, or I'm in the gym lifting or whatever. Like people see like DJs are out having fun, but I don't really post as much of like the self-care stuff, you know what I mean? Which it could help other people if I do that. So that's kind of super insightful to hear that you have a routine. It's helping you out. You know, you write in the day, you write at night, you meditate. That's really cool, man.
Word
I
up,
actually didn't know that about you. That's super sick.
Yeah, man. I started sharing that stuff on social media a little bit a while ago.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, but I remember like at first I was kind of like embarrassed about it. I don't know why. I was just like, you know, because yeah, we're supposed to be these DJs that just like party and have fun and everything. But I don't know, man. There's another side to it all, you know. And like, I don't know if you've seen that Avicii like documentary.
Yeah.
It's a really good example of what happens when you can't or don't take care of yourself. Especially in this industry, man. There's a lot of snakes out there. There's a lot of bad energy. There's a lot of late nights. You know, so you got to counteract it with a lot of good positive stuff.
Whatever you got time, right? I'm just gonna shoot some questions. All right. What's like the craziest thing you've seen while you're DJing, or just in the club in general? And it could be anything. It could range from like a stupid request to a fight.
Man, well, those are like, I think fights and stupid requests are sometimes, not all the time, but like, you know, they do happen a lot. Requests happen all the damn time. Fights, I don't think fights happen as much in this city as much anymore. I think just like, I don't know, man. That's hard. I might need to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, that's all good.
I got a funny story though. Like my brother, who's like one of the most like, I don't know, he's really chill. He's super zen, super peaceful, and he's not about like, you know, partying his ass off at all. For some reason, he always gets the wildest people coming up to him. Like he was playing at this place here in the city called Untitled Champagne Lounge, and it's kind of like a more refined, classier spot. And some girl was like requesting a song from him, and he kind of turned her down, and just right away she's just like, boom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Will you play it now?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, man. Sometimes that's the kind of shit you see in the club sometimes, but I don't know. My brother, for whatever reason, seems to get stuff like that happening to him when he's like the furthest from that kind of dude.
Yeah, no, I've never had that. What's the funniest, if you could think of one, like the funniest line you got from someone requesting a song? Like the one I think we all get, it's my birthday. Like, can you play the song It's My Birthday? Have you had anything crazy that someone's, you know, asked of you?
Just the last one I can remember, when this guy was like super aggressive. He basically just, it wasn't a request as much as a demand. He was basically saying like, yo, you need to start playing some gangster shit. And like, I remember at the time, I think I was playing just a bunch of old school stuff, and it was really working. And this guy just came over. He's like, you need to play brand new stuff and some gangster shit. And I was like, okay. He goes, because all my homies are locked up in the club and I'm the only one out right now. I need you to play some shit for them. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know how to take that at all, man. Like,
are you threatening my life?
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried. I don't know if I should talk to the bouncer at all.
What the hell?
I hate when like people come up to me too and say like I've had people ask me for requests, and I'll turn it down, or I'll say like, maybe I'll play it later. And they're like, every single DJ that I ask always plays my requests.
What?
And like, first of all, if that's the truth, fuck all those guys.
Yeah. Where are you going?
DJs. Yeah, where are you going? I need to talk to all of them because they're ruining it for all of us. But second of all, you're full of shit. You're
what the hell? Oh, man. I told this story on another episode, and one time this lady came up to me and she requested a song. And I was like, the room wasn't super full. It was still kind of early. It was like 11:30, so people were trickling in. And it was good. It was good vibes. I was playing some R&B, right? And she came up to me and she's like, you need to play this song. It's my birthday, da-da-da. I'm like, okay, I'll play it for you in a bit. Because it was like a Drake song. Everybody always requests Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Like you're not gonna play Drake.
Like you're not gonna play it, right? And then she came back like 20 minutes later. She's like, "You're the worst fucking DJ I ever heard. I hate you. I'm leaving." So
Wow.
I'm like, okay, you can like bye, you can leave. Which the crazy thing is, her friends were having a great time. Like they were coming up asking me every like 5 minutes, "You want a drink? You want a shot?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. Like I'm just, I'm here, whatever." And then she left and came back, and then she started having a good time again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
nice.
People are just nuts, man.
They are nuts. But I don't know if you ever come across this. There's definitely been times when there was one time, and I posted it on Instagram like about a year ago, when I had an actual good conversation with someone and I had them turn over.
I remember you posting that. I did read that.
Yeah, she came up to me and she was just same old thing, requesting a bunch of stuff, and she just kept coming back. And I can't even remember what I said to her, but it was something along the lines of like, "Listen, like I'm trying to do my thing. If you enjoy it and you're dancing, then I'll keep going. This is how it works. But if you're not, then don't worry. I will switch it up and figure out what you want. And if I don't, if I'm really doing a bad job, I will be taking your request. But if you can look out, all these people are dancing and you're the only one coming to me." And she was like, she asked, she goes, "Am I being a bitch right now?" Or she's like, "Am I being rude?"
Was she younger?
She was younger. Yeah. She was
crazy.
like 18, 19. And I was playing at the university, actually. I was playing at their club.
Okay.
And I was like, "It's a little bit rude because you've came up here like 3 or 4 times already." And she just like stopped, turned around, went and talked to her friends. And when she came back, she goes, "I told my friends what was up. We're going to stop requesting. I'm sorry."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "What?"
That's unheard of nowadays.
Well, that was like 1 out of 20 years of requests. But every once in a while, man, you're going to get a little bit of light.
Oh, man. Is there like a favorite party that you play in Calgary consistently?
Yeah, man, I'd say like the rewind party that I throw.
Yeah, talk about that. Like, how did that start? Because those look dope on social media, like from what I see.
Word. Yeah, man. It's a super good time. It's just like amazing vibes. Anytime you can get like 1,200 people in a room and everyone just wants to hear the same thing, you're always going to get really good vibes. And they're all like from the same age group, even though we have a lot of kids coming nowadays too. But we started in a 100-person room. It was actually that Opus Club that Alvi owned, and it was just our friends at the time coming through, and it sold out like 2-3 times in a row. And we were like, we got to move it to another venue. So we went to this place called The Bank, which was like 500-600 people. Then that sold out. And we were like, we need a bigger venue. And the only bigger venue was this place called The Palace, which was kind of like the Commodore in Vancouver. And I thought he was crazy. I was like,
was that Flame Central?
Flame Central, yeah.
Oh, word, okay.
Yeah, I was like, yo, man, like you're nuts. Nobody is coming to watch you and me DJ, especially 1,200 people, because that's a venue where it's like they book headliners there all the time. Big rap acts, big EDM acts, but not local guys. And we did it and sold it out.
That's crazy.
And I was like, holy shit. And then the next time it sold out. I don't know if it was the second time or the third time, but it sold out before the day of. Like we sold out of advance tickets.
Oh, wow.
And then we were like, okay, let's just not leave any at the door and let's just do advance tickets all the time. And then we started doing that, and would have been the 10-year in September. So if we still get to do it in September, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been 10 years and we've literally sold out every single time, man.
That's amazing. 10 years, man. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, super dope. Really unheard of for sure. And, it's been a lot of hard work on our part. I remember in the beginning, it was a lot of like cold calling, like, come to this party, me and LV. I don't know if you heard of us, blah, 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 blah. Nowadays, we still work hard, but it's everyone else doing the work. They're just like telling everybody, you need to come to this. You need to come check this out.
It's just spreading the words out.
Yeah, man. And playing music videos is just such a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, let's hop into our 3 for 3 here, man. I'm curious what you got.
Man, you know what? I wrote some quick things down. That was a real quick. I'm not that quick on my feet.
That's okay. So for people that don't know, there's a segment that we call 3 for 3, where our guests have to tell us or tell me 3 things they can't live without, 3 things that need to go, and 3 things that need to come back. And it could be anything. So tell me what you got, my man. You can start with anyone you want.
Okay, let's go 3 things that need to go.
Okay.
So just at the top of my mind, because I just saw this on the news yesterday, is lockdown protests.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck these people are thinking at all. We gotta get rid of that. I'm gonna say like clout culture, man. You know, like everyone trying to climb Clout Everest right now. Like
Cloud Everest. I like
Clout
it.
Everest. I was just kind of explaining because my girlfriend, she's actually like the whole DJ world is like unfamiliar territory for her, and I was trying to explain to her the differences between like kind of our generation, the next generation. I think social media has created this huge like cloud culture going on, you know. I think, you know, there's like some parts where like it's good that, you know, me growing up, I was never like the type of person to like ask for things. I would just like try to earn it.
Oh yeah,
You know?
for sure.
But I think there's definitely a level of like you should ask for stuff, you know, especially when you feel good enough. But I think there's just tons of clout chasing and not a lot of like working on your craft. I think that should be what people should be focusing more on.
I agree. That's dope.
And I think one other thing that really needs to go that I think is prevalent definitely in our world, man, are big ass DJ egos.
Yep.
And I think that comes from the young cats and some of the older cats. There's just no room for that, you know. It just clouds so much shit up. So
that's dope. Okay.
I'm gonna get rid of all those three.
Yeah.
Yep. Three things that need to come back. I'm gonna say feel good party music and hip hop. I think it's been a long damn time where we've been in the trap mode and everything has just been about, I don't know, it's weird, man. Like, you know, kids are moshing in the clubs now and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's cool. It's a different type of energy, but I really miss not even old school. Cause I love the new shit too. I just miss like feel good shit.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. I like that one. Solid.
You know, right now, I'm gonna say concerts because I don't think that's coming back for a while.
Yeah, we got at least a year for that.
We got at least, I know, man, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Is just like I'm a DJ in the music like world, but I'm a huge fan of music. Concerts no bring the best. So, and then another thing to come back, I'm gonna say like just person to person communication. There's a ton of this shit these days. You know, it's kind of killing culture. So
dope.
That's three things to come back. And then three things I can't live without. I'm gonna be corny with it as a DJ, but definitely music for sure. There's no way I could live without it. That I use chill hop to wake up to. I use like 80s music to clean up my place. And you know, I live in the world.
Nice.
I'm gonna say my turntables for sure, because as a scratch DJ, I'm just absolutely addicted to cutting. And then I'm going to be corny again. I'm going to definitely say my girlfriend, man. She's my ride or die. So
nice, man. That's amazing.
For sure, dog.
That's amazing. Well, tell people about your social media, your websites, all that good stuff, where they can find you if they want to get in touch.
Yep, word up. You know what? Just go to djcsik.com, djcsik.com, and everything's there. So you'll find my Facebook, my Twitter, all my mixes. Few edits are on there, and my schedule that's blank right now, except for streams and stuff. But yeah, everything's there, man.
Last question before I let you go. What is one DJing pet peeve of yours?
Ooh, that DJs do, or
it's an open-ended question. You take it where you want.
Oh man, let's say DJ pet peeve. I'm going to say the ego thing again. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like as DJs, we're artists. I think like the good DJs are. And, you know, art is made to express, you know, what we're basically trying to do is like whatever and I don't want to get too deep with it again, but whatever we feel in here, we're using our music selections and the way we put it all together to express that. And hopefully that reaches out to people and they, you know, are able to feel a certain way because of it. Hopefully it's in a positive way. Sometimes, you know, it can be a negative way for like a good reason though. Like maybe it's reminding them of a time in their life, you know, that makes them sad or whatever. But could be healing as well. So like the whole, like, I feel like as an artist, you need to express and not impress. And I feel like, you know, the whole ego side of things is just trying to impress all the time and letting that ego kill. What am I trying to say? I'm kind of rambling here, but you know, like I find like DJ egos really kill a lot of the positive sides of DJing. Like it will, stifle like the kids that are coming up from if the old OGs have too much of ego to let them come up.
Yeah.
And I also feel that like the kids who are on the come up that have too big of an ego are missing out on the opportunities to, you know, have community and share with each other and learn from the OGs and all that kind of stuff, you know? So yeah, man, I think DJ egos are my biggest pet peeve.
That's solid, man. I appreciate it. My guy, hopefully you're safe in Calgary there.
You
and
too,
live stream right now, you're doing it every Friday, I believe, Friday evening.
Yeah, usually on Fridays. I took a break last Friday. I had to finish my taxes.
Good man, good man.
Yeah, man, got that done. But yeah, I'll be on there again on Friday, and then I'll be around, man. I got some other places calling me to do some collective streaming too. So
amazing, man. Well, I appreciate your time once again. Dice Lemons with my special guest DJ C-SIK. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, Flo.
Take care.
Peace, bro.